this is Lydia and today I'll be showing you how I created this card using waffle flower stamps. They are already layering stamps, but I have created my own layers using a rock and roll technique to create darker edges. So today I'm going to be working with this set from Waffle Flower, and this is called Good Stuff. I really love the whimsical look to this set, and there's some really great sentiments to go with it that'll fit in this great little label here. So I'm going to be working with this image here first, which is the jar. I've got it onto my block already, and I'm going to be using some black ink to stamp this into place so I know where I'm stamping everything else. Okay, so I'm just adding my ink to my stamp, and then I'm going to place it over into this corner here. Everything on my card's going to be focused on this part here to make it very clean and simple. After I've stamped the jar image, I'm going to take this shape here, which represents the inside of the jar. So I have this placed on my acrylic block, and I'm going to take some ombre ink. So I'm going to place this on my desk. As the ombre ink goes from lightest to darkest, I need to make sure that I want the darkest of the ink at the bottom. So I'm going to make sure the lightest ink is on the top. And you're going to want to move this ink pad around quite a lot to make sure that you've got the ombre effect. Okay. I've added some more darkness to the edges of my stamp just by rotating the ombre ink pad around. So I'll have a darker outline. And I'm just going to stamp this into place. Because of the whimsical look of this stamp set, this inside of the jar won't perfectly line up with the outside edge, and I think that's a really fun look. To create like a faux layering stamp, I'm just going to do a bit of rock and rolling on this image again. So I'm going to take the image for the inside of the jar and a darker ink pad. This is emerald green from Hero Arts, and I'm just going to add ink to the outside edge of the stamp. I'm just rocking and rolling it around the outside. And as you can see, I just have ink on the edges of my stamp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line this over the image that I've just done and then stamp down. And that gives me a darker edge to the image. There is a filler part for the top part of the jar, which is here, and I'm going to be stamping that in a grey colour. I have a charcoal from Hero Arts, and I'm just going to stamp this as you normally would and stamp this down. And then for a faux layering look, I'm just going to do the rocking and rolling effect again, just around the edges, so the ink's just touching the edges of my stamp. And then place it over the other one and stamp down. This will give a really tone-on-tone look. There are lots of fun images in this set to put in your jar. A little circle here that can either be like a cherry, or if you put the face on it, will make a really fun gumball. Some chili peppers and some hearts. I'm going to add this beetroot turnip looking thing here into my jar. So I have this on my stamp block already, and I'm going to ink it up in a dark purple colour. So I'm just adding the ink on there, and I'm going to stamp that directly on top of this, on the turquoise colour that we've just done. And then I'm going to let that dry a little. I'm letting it dry because when I add the other faux layer on top of it, it won't bleed so much. So I'm going to take the same ink again, because I don't have a darker purple. I'm just rocking and rolling the outside edge onto the ink pad. I've got some on my block, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. But I have, as you can see, it's around the edge of that turnip. So I'm going to want to stamp this directly on top of the one that I've just done. As you can see now, I've got a darker edge to my beetroot. I want to ground my image. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a grey Copic. This is C3, and I'm just going around the bottom edge of my jar. I'm then going to take C1, and I'm just going to take this colour out a bit further, and this will blend the darker colour out a little. And there we go, the image is now grounded. And I want to add a label for my jar. I'm going to go with this solid label shape here, and I'm going to use some white pigment ink. This may need a couple of goes, so what I'm going to do, because we're going over a dark colour, I'm going to ink it up and I'm going to place it down. Once I have it into position, I'm going to heat it with a heat tool, and I'm just going to keep repeating until I've got the opacity on the white that I require. Layer 2. So the sentiments on this set are made so they fit within this label sign. I'm going to be using the Filled with Thanks, and I'm going to use this as a thanks card. I layered this white pigment ink about 5 times, and as I'm stamping onto pigment ink, I'm going to use some stays on so it doesn't bleed. So I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to place that down onto my label, and there we go. To add a bit more interest to the card, I wanted to add some twine around the top edge of this bottle. And so to add the twine, what I've done is I've put some twine into a wool needle, and I've pushed 2 holes through my card at the top of my jar where it meets the lid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just thread this through these 2 holes. So I'm going through that one, oh, jiggle it a little, and then round the back and through that one. And then I'm going to pull it out. I can then remove the needle and then tie a bow. I don't need that anymore. And then I can tie the bow with these pieces sticking through the front of my card. I find that this is the cleanest way to add a twine around the top of this jar. Once you're happy with your bow, just cut off the end pieces. So once I have my bow in position, all I've done is I've added some foam tape to the back, and I'm just going to add this to my card blank, making sure I leave an equal border around the outside. And there we go, a lovely little thanks card. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and give this technique a try. It'll give more added depth to your stamps.